Hello everybody, I am Keaton and this is Kid Catholic Season 12, Episode 7. I hope that you are having an absolutely wonderful Tuesday so far. I know that I am. Now, what I wanted to talk about today is a movie review. Obviously, you saw the title and the thumbnail. I haven't done a movie review in quite a while, but I got the chance to see a pre-screening of the movie Father Stu. This movie comes out on April 13th, so it still isn't out for a little over a month. But I thought that it's good to sit and review it, talk about it. I'm not going to spoil anything, so I'm not just going to sit here and list every little thing that happens in the movie. But I will sort of explain why I think that you guys should absolutely go see this movie starring Mark Wahlberg, Father Stu. Now, before we get into it, if you would please click the red subscribe button down below and the button next to it. That way you get notified when I come out with a new video, guys. We are trying to get to 6,000 subscribers, and your subscription really does help this ministry to grow. It's free, it's easy, it doesn't spam your email or anything. And if it says that you have to set up a Gmail account, that's free and easy too. And it would really, really help this ministry to grow. So, Catholic movies, right, or even just Christian movies in general, they tend to get a bad rep. Sometimes I agree with the bad rep, other times I don't. Sometimes I agree that, oh yeah, maybe the acting was off. Other times I think, no, it was a good movie. But Father Stu, even taking the Catholic side out of it, is an objectively good movie. And I like to consider myself sort of somewhat of, I know my stuff when it comes to movies. I have seen my fair share of movies. I know what makes a movie good versus bad. Sometimes I have a movie that might be more my favorite, but I can acknowledge that it's a worse movie than a different movie that wasn't as much my favorite. Does that make sense? Like sometimes I'll have a favorite and I'll be like, oh yeah, this is my favorite, but I know that it's not as good as movie as this movie. Father Stu is genuinely a really, really good movie. We have, based on a true story, we have the story of Stuart Long. Father Stuart Long was someone who used to be a amateur boxer, and then he ended up becoming and converting to Catholicism and becoming a priest. His conversion story is really, really cool, and I'm not really going to get too much into it on here because that is what the movie is about. But we get to see Mark Wahlberg act as Father Stu, and Mark Wahlberg, of course, does a phenomenal job as usual. Something that I will preface about this movie is it's rated R, and it is rated R for a reason. It has really, really harsh language, and sometimes I feel like harsh language in movies isn't necessary. Sometimes I feel like it's just added for the PG-13 rating or for the R rating. When it comes to Father Stu, I felt like they utilized the harsh language in a way to show Stuart Long's development as a person. So I do think that it was somewhat necessary that it does sort of have to be in the film to show his progression as a person. With that being said, it is very much present in the film, and it is very strong. It's not like stuff that'll go over a kid's head. So if you have a young kid or something, or a kid who maybe doesn't know a lot of harsh language, I would not take him or her to this movie. Otherwise, it is an absolutely phenomenal movie. And we really, what I like about this movie is that it has so many different moments that bring different emotions to the viewer. That's what a good movie does. A good movie doesn't just make you laugh. A good movie doesn't just make you cry. A good movie makes you laugh, makes you cry, makes you feel shocked, makes you feel surprised. Father Stu does that in every single way. We get to see Stuart Long's development as a person, from pro boxer to, or amateur boxer, to trying to be an actor, to eventually becoming a priest. And so we see his development, and there are moments in the development that are funny, like the first time he goes to a mass, and all that stuff. His reaction to it can be comical. And then there are moments that are a lot more serious and a lot more sad, especially with stuff that happens towards the end of the movie. And so, as a viewer, you're sitting there really being able to understand this character of Stuart Long, and that's part of what I love of how Mark Wahlberg portrays him in a way that's a guy who I feel like we could relate to in some manner. Maybe not easily, but in some manner. Someone who's clearly not perfect, yet strives his best to be perfect. And that's exactly who Stuart Long is. It also has Mel Gibson, and of course Mel Gibson is a huge actor and a very Catholic actor. We can't forget about him. He's done a lot more producing on movies lately. We saw him with The Passion. He didn't act in that one. He was behind the scenes. However, in the 90s, he was especially big, and Mel Gibson does a phenomenal job of playing Stuart Long's father. And so we see Father Stu sort of dysfunctional family and how his mother views his Catholicism, how his father views his Catholicism. And again, I'm not going to spoil anything that isn't said in the trailer, but like when Father Stu tells his mom that he's going to be a priest, she asks if it's for Halloween. Like she thinks that he's joking because he's that far off from where he was when he left his home to where he is when he decides he is going to become a priest. It's a really good movie, and I know that I've said that a lot, but it genuinely is. So Mel Gibson does a phenomenal job at acting as his father, as this sort of dysfunctional dad who's trying his best and has a whole story arc of his own. We have Father Stu, obviously a huge story arc from the beginning to the end. Even his mom, we see her come around a little bit. There isn't a character in this who feels really like one surface level. I'm not going to spoil too much, but I feel like you'll know it when you see it. There's this one character who we see quite a lot when Father Stu is in the seminary, who seems to be a lot more serious. He's not willing to do too much, and initially when watching, I thought that he wouldn't have an arc, that he would kind of be a one-dimensional character, and even he, by the end of the story, has an arc that we see, and even he has a lot more elements to his character than just one level surface. So it's a really good movie that I feel like even non-Catholics should see, because it's something that gets you involved in your faith. Yes, it's a good movie when it comes to the character arcs, story arcs, all of this, but it's also a good movie when it comes to exemplifying the power of prayer, exemplifying how Jesus works, how Christ works in our lives, and how even though sometimes he may work in mysterious ways that we don't see as correct, ways that we think may be wrong, it goes to show how every bad thing that might happen to us has a reason. It has a purpose. God has a purpose for our lives. And some of us, it takes longer to find out that purpose than others, like Stuart Long. But this movie does that so well. It hits on so many spiritual elements that really, it has you leaving the movie even understanding Christ better, which can kind of sound weird for just like a movie starring Mark Wahlberg, right? But Father Stu, the movie just does that in so many ways. It really takes you for a world of emotion, and then it has you spiritually connected a lot more with Christ, understanding how we work, understanding how prayer works, and understanding the importance of our Catholicism and why we're Catholic. And Father Stu, it does that tremendously. Father Stu, again, based off a true story. It's not like this is just something fictional that was invented. And like everybody in the cast does a phenomenal job too. We have Teresa Ruiz, who plays a very important role in the film. We have Cody Fern, who plays that guy that I talked about that maybe seems one-dimensional at first, but eventually has a story arc. There are a lot of really, really good actors in this, actresses, and just moments that make you glad that you went to see it. So again, while a lot of Catholic Christian movies, while they sometimes get a bad rep, sometimes I understand it. This one genuinely has a great script. It has great character moments. It has really leaves you on the edge of your seat a lot of times, wondering what's going to happen next, and tells the true and profound story of Father Stuart Long. So again, April 13th, this movie will be released. I highly suggest that you get in theaters and you go check it out. So now that the topic is done, y'all know what it's time for now. It's time for
the Saint of the Week.
And today's Saint of the Week is St. Francis of Rome. Now, St. Francis of Rome's feast day is tomorrow as of when this video is posted. So, of course, she is a great Saint of the Week for today. Now, St. Francis of Rome has a story that's actually really, really cool and honestly does not get talked about as much as I feel like it should be. She was a late 14th to mid 15th century saint, and even though her parents forced her into an arranged marriage at the age of 13, which is just like wild to think about how society worked back then that was normal and acceptable. Anyway, she was forced into an arranged marriage at the age of 13 despite her wanting to become a nun. But she and her husband produced 6 children. She remained a devout Catholic throughout. She remained devout in her faith and in a strong foundation with Christ during her marriage. And then after her husband's death, she ended up founding a society, her along with another woman who was her sister-in-law, her husband's sister. She bonded with her sister-in-law very much, and the two women founded a society together and raised money for the poor, which is absolutely incredible. They founded an order together, a sisterhood, and she ended up joining it following her husband's death, of course, and then she became a nun and lived out the rest of her days until she died in the year 1440. She was very devout to her children and teaching them in the faith, as well as to the poor, and making sure that those who needed it were cared for, her children included. Focusing on the spiritual health and the physical health is something that St. Francis of Rome did extraordinarily well. So, St. Francis of Rome, pray for us. Once again, before you guys click off this video, please click the red subscribe button down below. We are trying to get to 6,000 subscribers, and your subscription really does help this channel, this ministry as a whole, to grow. Please check out all three of my social medias, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The link to all three of those will be in the description down below. I'm not just a YouTuber, I'm also a Catholic speaker. So if you want to book me to come and speak at your church, youth group, men's group, women's group, conference, whatever it is, you name it, then please reach out to me directly at kidcatholic1@gmail.com, or go to my website, kidcatholic.com, click the contact me page, and email me from there. Also on my website, there's a speaking engagements page. So if you want to see sort of how I do as a speaker, that's up there. I've also recently especially uploaded some talks that I've given, so please go check that out. Please check out my website in general. There's your very own Kid Catholic shop on there. All my videos are up there. You can read about me, all sorts of awesome things on kidcatholic.com. Please comment any saint or topic suggestions that you might have for future videos, and please like the video. Thank you guys once again for watching. This was Keaton of Kid Catholic. I will see you all next week, and hi Brielle.